Your cat looked at you today, maybe from across the room, maybe from the edge of your bed, maybe from a quiet corner where they like to sit and observe everything without being noticed. It probably felt like a normal moment. Cats look at us all the time, and most of the time, we don't think much of it. But what if that look wasn't just routine? What if it was communication? What if your cat was trying to tell you something important, something urgent, in the only way they know how? Cats are incredibly subtle creatures. They don't express discomfort the way humans do, and they don't make their needs obvious like dogs often will. Instead, they rely on small shifts in behavior, quiet changes in routine, and barely noticeable differences in how they act, move, and interact. And because of that, many cat owners miss the early signs that something is wrong. By the time the problem becomes obvious, it may already be advanced. Not because the cat didn't show signs, but because those signs were easy to overlook. The truth is, your cat is always communicating with you. Every action, every habit, every small change carries meaning. And when something is wrong, those meanings become more important than ever. If you learn to recognize the signals, you can catch problems early, sometimes before they become serious. But if you miss them, your cat may continue suffering in silence. These are 4 critical signs your cat may be begging you for help, even if most owners never realize it. The first critical sign is a sudden change in behavior, especially when it comes to aggression or avoidance. You know your cat's personality. You know how they respond when you reach out to pet them, how they react to your presence, how they behave during everyday interactions. So when that behavior changes, it matters. If a cat that used to be affectionate suddenly becomes distant, if a calm cat begins hissing or swatting, or if a social cat starts avoiding contact altogether, it's not random. Cats don't change their behavior without a reason. In many cases, this shift is directly linked to pain or discomfort. When a cat is hurting, even gentle touch can feel overwhelming. Something as simple as picking them up or stroking their back might cause discomfort if there's an underlying issue. Instead of tolerating that pain, they react. Not because they want to be aggressive, but because they need to protect themselves. This is where many owners make a mistake. They assume the cat has developed a bad attitude or become moody. But behavior like this is rarely about personality. It's about cause and effect. Your cat is responding to something you can't see. It could be joint pain, dental issues, an internal condition, or even a minor injury that hasn't been noticed. The aggression or avoidance is just the visible part of a deeper problem. If you pay attention, you might notice patterns. Does your cat react when you touch a certain area? Do they avoid being picked up but still sit near you? Do they seem alert but cautious? These details matter. They are clues. And when you start looking at behavior this way, you stop seeing it as random and start seeing it as communication. The second critical sign is a change in eating habits. Cats are known for being selective, but they are also creatures of habit. They tend to eat similar amounts at consistent times. So when that pattern changes, it's important. If your cat suddenly stops eating, eats far less than usual, or shows no interest in food they normally enjoy, it's a serious signal. Cats should not go long without food. Even 24 hours without eating can begin to stress their system. Unlike some other animals, cats are particularly sensitive to fasting. Their bodies are not designed to go without food for extended periods, and doing so can lead to complications, especially involving the liver. So when your cat refuses food, it's not something to wait out. Loss of appetite is often one of the earliest signs of illness. It can be linked to infections, digestive problems, kidney disease, or other internal issues. When the body is struggling, it reduces non-essential functions, and hunger is one of the first things to go. Your cat isn't being stubborn. Their body is responding to something deeper. At the same time, changes in eating behavior don't always mean eating less. Sometimes it can mean eating differently. Maybe your cat approaches food but doesn't finish it. Maybe they sniff it and walk away. Maybe they seem interested but hesitant. These small differences can indicate discomfort, especially if eating itself causes pain, such as with dental issues. Even overeating in some cases can signal imbalance, particularly if it's sudden and paired with other changes. The key is not just what your cat eats, but how their behavior around food changes. Routine is everything with cats, and when that routine shifts, there's usually a reason. The third critical sign is hiding and withdrawal. Cats naturally enjoy quiet, enclosed spaces. They like to feel safe, secure, and in control of their environment. But there's a difference between normal hiding and unusual isolation. If your cat suddenly starts spending much more time hidden away, avoiding interaction, and staying out of sight, it can be a sign that something is wrong. This behavior is deeply rooted in instinct. In the wild, a sick or injured animal isolates itself to avoid predators. Even though your home is safe, that instinct still exists. When your cat feels vulnerable, it retreats. It chooses distance over connection, silence over interaction. You might notice your cat hiding under the bed more often, staying behind furniture, or choosing darker, more enclosed spaces. They may stop greeting you at the door or disappear for long periods when they would normally be nearby. This change can be gradual, which makes it easy to miss at first. But over time, it becomes more noticeable. What makes this sign so important is that it often appears early. Before obvious symptoms develop, before physical changes become visible, your cat may already be withdrawing. It's one of the first ways they respond to discomfort. And while it might seem like they just want to be left alone, it's often a sign that they need attention the most. The fourth critical sign is changes in grooming and physical appearance. Cats are naturally clean animals. They spend a large portion of their day grooming themselves, maintaining their coat, and keeping their fur in good condition. So when that behavior changes, it's significant. If your cat stops grooming, their coat may begin to look dull, greasy, or matted. This often happens because they don't feel well enough to maintain themselves. Grooming requires energy and flexibility, and if your cat is in pain or feeling weak, it becomes difficult. This is especially common in cats with joint pain or illness. On the other hand, some cats respond in the opposite way. Instead of grooming less, they groom excessively. They may focus on one area, licking it repeatedly until the fur thins or disappears entirely. This behavior can be caused by skin irritation, allergies, pain, or even stress. It's not just a habit, it's a response. Physical appearance changes can go beyond grooming. You might notice weight loss, even if your cat seems to be eating. You might see subtle changes in posture, how they sit, how they move, or how they carry themselves. Maybe they hesitate before jumping, or avoid heights they used to enjoy. Maybe they seem less stable or less confident in their movements. These changes are easy to overlook because they often happen slowly. Day by day, the difference is small, but over time, it becomes significant. And if you're not actively paying attention, it can go unnoticed until it's more serious. The truth is, these 4 signs, behavior changes, appetite shifts, hiding, and grooming or appearance changes, are among the most common ways cats communicate distress. And yet, they are also the most commonly missed. Not because they're invisible, but because they don't demand attention. They don't interrupt your routine. They blend into everyday life. But once you understand them, everything changes. You begin to see patterns where you didn't before. You notice small shifts that once seemed unimportant. You start to understand your cat not just as a companion, but as a communicator. And that awareness is powerful because it allows you to act early. It allows you to respond before a small issue becomes a serious one. It gives your cat a voice, even when they can't speak. Your cat depends on you in a way they can never fully explain. They rely on you not just for food and shelter, but for understanding, for attention, for awareness. Every look, every movement, every change in behavior is part of a silent language they use to communicate with you. The question is not whether your cat is trying to tell you something. The question is whether you're noticing it. Because sometimes the smallest change can be the loudest signal. And sometimes paying attention is the difference between catching a problem early and missing it completely. Now that you understand these signs, you see your cat differently. You watch more closely. You notice more. And that awareness makes you the kind of owner your cat truly needs. In the end, your cat depends on you in ways they can never fully express. They can't explain what they're feeling, they can't tell you where it hurts, and they can't ask for help in words. All they can do is communicate through small changes in behavior, quiet signals, and subtle shifts in their daily routine. And those signals are easy to miss if you're not paying close attention. But now you understand what those changes can mean. You know that a sudden behavior shift, A change in appetite, unusual hiding, or differences in grooming aren't just random, they're messages. When you start to notice these patterns, you begin to understand your cat on a deeper level. You become more aware, more observant, and more capable of protecting their health before small problems turn into serious ones. Because sometimes, the difference between a healthy cat and a suffering one isn't time, it's awareness.